everybody. Welcome into this remote viewing show on this beautiful Thursday night. I am so happy you guys are here with me this evening. I gotta admit, y'all, I feel like Sasquatch poop today. I don't feel very good, but you know, this is a super amazing target that Barry Littleton gave me. He assigned me a blind target. I had no idea what this thing was. I had a set of numbers, okay, and this data is gonna blow your mind tonight. It is so wild. We're gonna be talking about the Chupacabra. Okay, now it's not all that, there's a whole bunch of different types of chupacabras out there. And Barry specified one specific chupacabra. It's the one out of Puerto Rico. Okay, and there's pictures of this thing. It looks kind of like an alien hybrid something, or like porcupine thing. I don't know. It's weird, right? But we're gonna get into that data tonight. It lines up pretty. Yeah, I do look pale, strangely. I do. I'm not feeling well, you guys. I got my mood lighting on tonight. I was actually thinking about, you know, last week I ran a rerun because I was sick and I didn't feel well. This week I don't feel well again, but I said we're going with it. Okay, we're gonna go with it. We're gonna have a good time, and hopefully I'll be feeling better over the weekend for my spaced out radio shows. Okay, y'all. But I feel good enough to be here tonight, and thank y'all for being here with me. Okay, if you guys would like to follow all my shows and what I'm doing, y'all know y'all can go to the cryptidhuntress.com. I have all of my shows there, all of the events that I'm going to be speaking at and presenting at. I have the Spaced Out Radio Fan Party coming up May the 19th through the 21st in Vegas. I have the Journey to Truth Conference. That's going to be in Grafton, Illinois, May 22nd through 25th. And then, of course, the Dogman Conference in Fort Worth, Texas. That's September 2nd and 3rd. So please go hang out with me there. Come meet me live. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, I have a Patreon. All of my data is posted in Patreon right now for this target tonight. I did two separate, it's the same target, but I just got deeper into it on my second one. And so you can check all that out, see all my sketches and all my drawings and all that stuff. Also, if you'd like to support what I'm doing, go to War Woman Goods. That's on Etsy. I want to thank everybody for all your support there. It keeps me going, and I love all you guys for that. Thanks for all your support. Okay, so let's get to business, shall we? Let's get to business. Okay, so let's go over what the Chupacabra is, in case anyone is not familiar with the El Chupacabra, okay? Let's see if I can read this. I don't have my lights on. All right, the Chupacabra is an interesting cryptid whose name translates to goat sucker. Chupacabras were first reported in 1995 in Puerto Rico. These blood-sucking creatures were blamed for attacks on goats, sheep, and other domesticated animals. The bodies of the animals were uneaten, but completely drained of blood. The chupacabras were described as bipedal, large reptilian kangaroos with large red eyes. Oh my God, what a weird little cryptid there. All right, well, like I said, I was given a blind remote viewing target, a set of numbers, set of coordinates by Barry Littleton, who assigned the Chupacabra out of Puerto Rico as my target. And I have Barry Littleton here with me tonight. He is an extraordinary researcher, has a wonderful YouTube channel, Patreon. He does his research. He does boots on the ground research as well. And he's here tonight. Help me welcome to the show, Mr. Barry Littleton. Hey, Barry.
Greetings.
Are you good?
Jessica. Yeah. Thank you for having me. This is exciting. I'm like you. I'm just getting over. I've been sick the last few days, but feeling a little bit better today. So it's like, man, goodness.
What's going on these days? I think they're spraying something out of those clouds at us or something. I don't know what's happening. but yeah. Uh-oh, is that mine? I think Barry might be frozen, y'all. Or it's either Barry or me. I'm not sure. Oh yeah, it's Barry. Barry, if you can hear me, come back. Come back. Yeah, so Barry assigned me this target, y'all. He's had a fascination with the Chupacabra for quite some time. And it's Barry. Thank you guys. It's Barry. I'm looking down like I can't see very well tonight. So it is. Let's see. Let me send Barry a message real quick. Make sure he knows he's blurred out. Hold on. You're frozen. You're frozen, Barry. Okay, you're frozen. Here he comes. All right, he's logging out. He's gonna come right back, y'all. All right, so I had heard of the chupacabra before. It's something that I always wanted to look into, but I really appreciate doing these blind targets that Barry assigns them to me. So I don't know what it is, and I got to say, I'm going to go ahead and just go over some of my data with you guys before Barry comes back. I was picking up when I first got into these targets. I was picking up on what I thought were dinosaurs. Okay, which is super duper interesting because. These things, it may go back to the origins of what the chupacabras are. Now, I can honestly say that these cryptids are real. They actually did. They're alive today. I'm assuming. Okay, I'm going to show you guys a picture of. Let's see. Let's show you a picture of the ones that the specific one that he assigned me. It's going to be this one right here. This is the one that was described as being the chupacabras that were seen in Puerto Rico. Now, Barry knows a whole lot more about this than I do. He has the information on it. I have the data. Let's see. Let's pull up Barry. Let me pull Barry back up here. All right, Barry's back. Hey, Barry.
Man, wow. Okay.
We got the chupacabra gremlins.
Well, first of all, I've had absolutely no internet problems since they came out here a week ago. And for whatever reason, we start this and my system just went down. The internet did.
Well, you're back.
Sorry about that.
We're all good.
Yeah, I'm not one for the conspiracy stuff a whole lot, and I only go so far with that. But certain things that we do and talk about, it seems like there's definitely been several factors trying to stop this today from happening.
Yes, absolutely.
And it was very abrupt the way we wanted to do this and decided to just do it today. And ever since then, there's been a force trying to stop this from happening. Anyway, I'm back.
Well, good. I'm glad you're back. Hey, I got Craig up in here. That's one of my teammates. He goes field researching with me. What's up, Low Range Overland, Mr. Craig, Action Jackson. And
Action
welcome, everybody.
Jackson.
Yeah, that's Craig. He's been on my show before. He did the show about Corpsewood Manor with me, if you guys will remember that one. That's Craig. Okay. Yeah, that's right, Amber. A shift. There's been some kind of shift. It's made me sick. Whatever it is. But okay, well let's get to the chupacabra, Barry. What made you want to assign me the target of the chupacabra? What sparked your interest?
All right. For starters, it's going back to 1995, the original account of this. All right, and I was listening to actually Art Bell one night in 1995 when he was still just doing things on Coast to Coast and Dreamland. There was no, it was a whole different thing going on, open lines. Anyway, he had talked about the chupacabra. Then probably, and he said there were pictures on his website, but I mean, come on, that was 1994, 95, and the web wasn't anything like it is now, and access to computers is not like it is now. But probably a month or two later, I saw it in a magazine I used to get called at Barnes or at Borders called UFO Magazine, or maybe it was Nexus. It was one of those. They had so many in the early 90s of those cool little magazines you could get just before the internet took over everything. Anyway, they gave that illustration of it in there of what was supposed to be what people were seeing in Puerto Rico. And since then, like later on in Monster Quest and other venues, they've kind of changed the chupacabra to this dog-looking thing, a dog with mange. And coincidentally, I think really what's being seen in Texas and that type of chupacabra is actually a thylacine, a Tasmanian tiger, which I think are not actually extinct like what people think. There are several organizations that claim to have preserved the Tasmanian tiger. So I think that's what's being seen in Texas and other places that people are mistaken for a chupacabra. But that is not the original illustration of the chupacabra itself from 1995 in Puerto Rico. That's kind of what I wanted to home in at and focus on even more. And the reasons why I wanted to do this specifically with you as a blind target is because on my channel, and I'm sorry I'm late to everything, I meant to link this in the section so everybody would have it. On my YouTube channel, under playlist, under a city ranch, there's a video I did with remote viewer John Vivinko and this snake guy that was sitting there. But we talked about chupacabras, one of the things, and its time frame 39 minutes and 40 seconds. Around there, we start talking about chupacabra and what his team saw when they remote viewed it. It's fascinating. Yeah. And in taking that, I want to know what you got just from the numbers. And it's astounded me how similar some of your data was that can be explained along with a few other things, what I've seen myself about this creature. And it's really, one thing is I think it's cool. It's a cool target. It's a well-known one. But two is the data behind this that you and John have both presented is really impressive. It's cool.
It's interesting.
It really is. And it's a little creepy, but it is what it is, so.
It is. Well, you sent me the video after you revealed, or as you revealed what the target was. I had already looked into this twice. I had done 2 targets, or I re-examined the first target and got a little bit deeper into it, as I do sometimes with these targets. And the first one I did, Barry, you never tell me what it is until I've gotten as much as I can out of it. And then you ask me what I think it is. Okay. And I went ahead and told you, I said, well, it looks like a dinosaur. I don't know. It was like a dinosaur, because most of my data was coming up with dinosaur type vibes. Okay. I picked up on something that was very, very interesting though. Okay.
That's very important. That's very important. You kept discounting that at first and kind of mocking it,
right?
But it's really very important. And I think it's a major factor concerning genetic makeup. So I'll shut up anyway. Keep going. Because what we have here is a really cool thing. I've been starting to do videos again. The ones I'm doing, some of them will be a second video.
Okay, it's Barry again, I guess. Okay, always have to check. Y'all know I'm the one that always has the free screen. So, there you are, Barry. You're frozen.
You still hear me? I can hear you.
Yeah, here you are. You're back.
Okay. Anyway, I did a video 7 years ago about Chupacabra on my YouTube channel. But what I'm going to do is in a few days, I'll do another one that will be a backup of this and what I've learned since behind the data and the hard facts that we're getting on this. And so in that way, when you get done going over the data, I'll go over some things I know about the Chupacabra that I learned then versus now and some other things. I'll just basically give people a preview of what I'll go over in the video, which are always, my videos are really quick, but I'll just nail the things that I think are important. And it's just a preview for people that care. And I have such an appreciation for you and your audience, and it's cool to do this. So knock it out. I'll shut up.
Absolutely. Now, Elizabeth, thank you so much for that super sticker. That means the world to me. I appreciate that. Okay, so I'm not going to give out the coordinates because we may or may not have given this coordinate to different some other remote viewers that are unaware of this. Okay, so and I did not tell them that we were going to be doing this show tonight. So this is a blind target. So if anyone is interested in seeing my data, it is on my Patreon. So you guys go over there and join. I'd love to have y'all. Okay, so here's my sensory data. Okay, right off the bat, I seeing something that was jumping. Okay, jumping, something burrowing into the ground, diving. It was bumpy and brown. Okay, long, wide, tall, and large. That was some of my sensory data. Okay, so the way my mind is trying to compute what I'm seeing here, I write down my analytic overlays. Okay, and I'm going to give you just some examples of my analytic overlay. I was seeing dirt and sand, reptile. Okay, a reptile with scales, scalar waves. There was some kind of like a tomb, or it was burrowing into something that was like a tomb. Okay, I was seeing a lot of vegetation and tall grass, and I got land mammal. So I was getting reptile and land mammal, a mammal and a reptile, which was weird. And then I also saw an ocean. I was getting like either an ocean or a gigantic lake that looked like an ocean. And then I was hearing seated here. And I got off planet kind of stuff, a little bit of information with that. But my sensory data was like forming, hungry, flooded. I was getting a flood. Okay.
Could you just touch on the off planet thing you just mentioned?
Off planet, yeah. I picked up on Mars. I was picking up on Mars. Okay. So I actually wrote Mars down.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so I was seeing, okay, my analytic overlay on the second page. Okay, and I was also seeing trees and, like I said, a bunch of vegetation when I was looking at whatever this reptile mammal was. Okay, but I was seeing debris, microorganisms, cloud formations, a fountain, and I picked up on Noah's Ark. And then I started seeing a flood and the Great Flood is what I heard. The Great Flood. And then I got mammal again, like a woolly mammoth or something. I don't know. I was getting like dinosaurish vibes, like something super old. And I heard a high pitched ringing. Okay, a high pitched ringing in my ears. All right, and that was the first target. So I got done with that target, and I was like, well, that's weird because I was getting a mammal reptile, which doesn't make sense, and something that was a gigantic flood, possibly from an ocean or a gigantic lake. Okay. And so, Barry, you told me, wow, let's do it again if you want. Go back deeper into it. And so I did. So shall I go to my second one, Barry?
Go for it. And in all fairness, the target was both the object, the creature, you didn't know that at the time, but the object itself and its origin. So you're seeing both and putting it together, and what you described actually is accurate even there. And later on, we'll talk about that. So go for it. The second one, do your homework thing.
All right. So the second one. So I went back in. Okay, and I did. It was the same set of coordinates. There are 8 numbers, and that's all I had. And I started picking up on a blast, like an explosion. Okay, blasted something that was terrible, and it was sweeping, something that swept through somewhere. Okay, I picked up on like a meteor or a meteorite, an explosion, a big bang, a lot of destruction. Things were wiped out, and it was a catalyst for brainwash and mind wiped. Okay, whatever that is, something being brainwashed, mind wiped, deception on a grand scale, a bunch of lies. There was a cover up. And there was something to do with the sun and molecules. I don't know. I mean, that's just what some of the stuff my analytic overlay. Okay. I was picking up on something jumping again, an animal that was jumping. And some kind of molecular made it, but I started picking up on like jumping timelines, timeline deception, Mandela effect, hybrids, and chimeras. Okay, and mind you, I still don't know what this target is, but I'm seeing hybrids and chimeras, and I hear stone and Stonehenge, and creation of man or something. That's what I got. So that was just some of my data right there, in a nutshell. But there was something to do with an explosion, something that swept through. Could have had something to do with a meteor, perhaps. But yeah. And also with the Mandela effect and timelines jumping and things like that. So I don't know how that pertains to this target, Barry, but that's what I got. And I drew a sketch of what looks like the sun or an explosion.
Well done, my friend. I imagine I should get booed off here anytime now.
Right.
Seriously, very well done. All right. Okay. Rounding this up. Okay. Since I imagine most of the audience is familiar with what the Chupacabra is. So instead of going through that and the sketch I think he showed while I was off, the information in the video on my YouTube channel that John Vavinko presented, okay, that his team had gotten, was that this was first, of course, they wanted to know if it was a real creature. And they said it was as what you saw it was. But what's very interesting about this was the first thing they're seeing is that this creature, and this was in the first reports. In 1995, there was a ton of reports coming about this thing out of Puerto Rico that it had, killed so many livestock. But it was reported to, it's kind of a trip, But one thing he said that they saw immediately was that it was a marsupial. And that's what was reported in some of the reports, is that this creature was a marsupial. And that what they said, John said that they saw immediately that when the child was able to leave the womb and functions on its own, the mother started hunting it down and trying to eat it.
I just ran after her baby to eat it. That is wild.
Yeah, he was very specific on that. And at that part, so what we're looking at is some type of an abomination. We already know this, all right. Anyway, going forward, but what they saw more was that this was a genetic laboratory in Puerto Rico that got hit by a hurricane, and the hurricane ruptured the boundaries or whatever, and the flood, and it allowed these things to escape. And that's why they started being seen in 95. So, going back and cross-referencing this with things that happened around hurricane hitting Puerto Rico in 94 and 95. In 94, you had something called tropical, let me make sure I get this right. It was Tropical Storm Debbie. And in 1995, you had Hurricane Marilyn that hit Puerto Rico and that whole area. So that much can be verified, all right, weather-wise. Okay. Now, he saw what you saw. They saw these and reports that this being was jumping around a lot, all right, hopping around. Again, one of these beings that hops in and hops out of our field of awareness. But that it was actually, they call it the goat sucker. So for me, looking at it from a scientific perspective, when you say dinosaur, I think that really shows up what kind of genetic experiment we're dealing with. There were tons of insect or tons of different dinosaurs, and we so often tend to think, oh yeah, lizard. It's been shown that actually the dinosaurs were more of avian bird origin.
Yeah.
And if you look at the claws on that sketch, that original sketch, those look like chicken claws almost on that thing. There you go. Yes, thank you. There you go. Okay, so that's one thing. And it was purported to jump around like a kangaroo. Some of the later
Barry there. Let's see. I think Barry froze again, y'all. Sorry.
Trying to be funny, but you always go a little geek entertainment on people.
Oh yeah.
When I was a kid, the original Spider-Man comics I had, he had these webs under his arms, and they said later that it was just strictly for costume stuff, but help him glide or something. But in reality, how many animals do you know that have that? So you're looking at a creature that's a cross of what I think is one dinosaur material, like one of the smaller ones. And when I think of this, it's the smaller ones like Jurassic Park. You remember when the first one, the guy fell down in the crater, little in the creek, and those little things were on him, those little ones, they tore him up. So he's fighting them off at first.
What, it was like velociraptors or something?
Yeah, so yes. I think that's
velociraptors.
Yeah, and looking at those type of raptors and the dinosaurs that actually had 3 fingers, like what we just saw on that thing, takes us into the Allosaurus, those that were meat eaters anyway. But taking that and also genetically splicing this with what this thing is reporting to have done is it ejected something that hit the goats and then sucked the blood and life force out of them. All right, that's what a mosquito does in the way that's called proboscis. That thing that comes out and sucks up. That's an insect quality.
It's siphoning the blood. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that's mostly insects do that, with the exception of, I do believe there's a thing called the hummingbird hawk. It's actually an insect, but it's looks like a butterfly moth, but it almost looks like a bird when you see it. It's very large, but it's got a very large proboscis that comes out and sucks out the stuff of the flower. And also there's a type of snail that does that also, a mussel that has a proboscis that comes out. And for those that are geeks like me, it would be like a Jeff Goldblum as a Brundlefly. Brundlefly couldn't eat solids, remember?
Yes.
Yeah, that was great. Anyway, listen.
That was a weird movie.
Oh, I always gotta go weird.
Well, he was a chimera too, so right? Something like that.
But seriously, when you describe chimera, what I just described is some type of that. And I believe the other thing you're dealing with is some type of gray genetics, okay? Some type of gray genetics. I think so too.
It looks like it, for sure.
And when going with, there were reports of that long before 95, but not the rash like we see after this, what John reports, the hurricane, all right, to let them loose. Now, in that way, whatever this underground, this laboratory is, it had me looking at things like looking up what are some of the genetic places in Puerto Rico, genetic labs. There's a bunch of them.
Oh
You got
my
places like
God. I didn't think about that.
Quest Diagnostics, Blueprint Genetics, the Genetic Science Laboratory. These are all located in Puerto Rico.
Oh
Now, if
my
we
God.
wanted
Go
to go back,
figure.
how many of them predate to 94 and
Oh my
95?
God. All
Keeping
of
it
them
real,
probably.
all right? Just
Right.
saying. Anyway,
Yeah. That's crazy. Real quick, Derek Galloway, thank you so much for that super sticker. That's sweet of you. And I hope I didn't know that someone's been arrested for the cattle mutilations in Texas. Have you heard that, Barry? Not to interrupt, but that's
no, and,
interesting.
and I
Okay.
don't know when that begins and ends because you probably have some people that are trying to perpetrate that. But the original
True.
mutilations, you're going to see that have something similar. I cued in on your show yesterday, which is really good with Brown
Thank
Dwarf.
you.
Great appreciation for that, by
Yeah.
the way.
And
It's very
John
cool.
Vandeventer. Yeah, we gave you some shout
Yeah,
outs.
very
Yeah.
cool, very
Oh, and
cool.
Paul suggested this target to me too, Barry. So you know what? When he left that, he's the one that I was reading the list to you to about the 12 suggestions that he sent me, and you had already tasked me with this target, and I didn't know it. So
Yeah,
he's
like
the
a
one that
week
had
before.
Chupacabra on
A
there.
week
Yeah.
before.
So
That's why I
thanks,
didn't say
Paul.
that. I just sat there. I didn't say nothing.
So
That's
I got to
why.
give Paul some credit too. Paul did recommend this one. So thanks, Paul. Yeah.
um,
So the genetic labs in Puerto Rico, huh?
Yeah,
That's
I mean that's just it's
I'm not
worth
surprised.
looking into that. And when we start dealing with this, and dealing with the dark forces that have been on this planet for a long time, predating manual or modern Homo sapien. We talk about hearing like things like these different dark entities that have these certain names are running around on Earth in these factories. Is that the kind of place that we're talking about? And
Probably they're
something like that is going to
chimeras.
pre-exist for a long time. They've been doing these type of genetic modifications for God knows how many thousands of years on these different creatures, chimeras, if you just called it. And it's frightful, it's terrible, but it is what it is. We can't just base all this on humanity. So my question would be that laboratory, excuse my, like, who in the HE double hockey sticks, excuse my language, runs that lab or those labs? You know what I'm saying? Are they really
Yeah. Is
people?
it a dark project or something?
Well, I think
Yeah.
beyond that, even darker, like
Could be
midnight,
aliens. I mean,
Like
who
Sith,
knows?
Empire, Sith type
Oh
of stuff.
yeah. Could be. Jeff Townsend, thank you, neighbor. Thank you for that super sticker. You're the sweetest. I appreciate you. Um, yeah, well, okay, so tell me about the flood, okay? Because I had a bunch of information about the flood coming through, and even Noah's Ark was in my data. And you had mentioned something about perhaps there was, well, you said the hurricane, right? And so there could have been like a tsunami or something. The lab got flooded out. Let's talk about that for just a
Yeah,
second.
I believe now what John has said. I believe he said it was a hurricane.
Okay.
But nonetheless, if it would be either it would be 94, that tropical storm Debbie, or in 95, Hurricane Maryland, which both
Okay.
were in Puerto Rico at that time. So I think that's what you were seeing with the data. This flood you kept seeing, this things getting washed away. I mean, you described it quite accurate, I think, in just a slightly different way than him, but that matches up with what John was saying. And again, anybody go to my YouTube channel and check that video out. It's called I can't remember now, but I'll link it. We get done with all this, I'll link it
Yeah,
under here and I'll give
I'll
it to
try to
you.
link it during the
But
show too.
yeah, it's a good one to just reference at 39.40. Anyway, but
Wow.
that's just something that you both were seeing more or less. And you described that somewhat accurately. Now, me knowing that it was this flood or hurricane, you described that exactly. And when dealing with meteors and things like that, that's what makes me curious where they got this gray extraterrestrial genetic to do this with. Did it come in here on a
Ooh,
meteor? Did it, I've talked
I don't
about the
know.
war between humanity and the microorganisms from space that are sentient.
Well, I had
And people,
microorganisms in my data, and
did
the
you?
meteor.
I
I
don't,
did. Yeah, it's in my data on the second
okay.
target, I
Well,
believe.
that takes us
My
into something
molecular
different.
makeup.
Oh man,
I
now it's
had.
going to get all weird.
I
Oh,
100%. I had microorganisms. I think that was in the first target, actually. Hold on, let me look. Yeah, the first target on page two. Page two, at the very top, I got debris and microorganisms. Yeah. And then I
no,
got
I didn't.
and
You
then
know,
right after that, I got cloud formations, and that's when the Noah's Ark and the flood came in.
Okay, I remember that took precedence when I saw that. The Noah's Ark thing took precedence over me seeing you saying microorganisms on meteorites. That's very frightful. That's frightful. Anyone know why?
That was all of my data.
Only the few people that are I'm getting too hyped here. Only the few people on my
okay.
Patreon would know this, that have actually seen these videos I don't put out. One of the ones I did last month or before is called Extraterrestrial Contact and WID syndrome, which is wasting wasting disease in deer. This means seen in deer. And I've been saying for a long time that we have had this war going on with these microorganisms in space. We've had a lot of stuff go out there. Humanity's done. There's been hydrogen bombs detonated out there, which disrupts dimensions on the hydrogen molecule. We've talked before about these molecules that might go different dimensions or different universes. We detonate something like that here on this planet or outside of the atmosphere. We don't know what it does, what it disrupts. That's one thing that is war. Number two, you have things like Project Stardust, if that still exists now, which is where they sent that thing up and got a collagen bucket, and dropped it back to Earth for people to identify different tracks and dusts and things in there you can get named after you. All right, these are all things that equate war for a species that is sentient on the collective level on their microorganisms. That's very serious. Okay, which means that we have this war going on, and on some of these meteorites and things that come in here, you have these microorganisms that have declared war on humanity, and they have this effect. They create these prion diseases.
Prions,
these prion
like the deer.
Diseases are very odd. Things like mad cow disease, mad deer disease. I first came forward in 2014.
Freeze frame. We got frozen again. Y'all, it's usually me getting frozen. Barry, come back. This is fascinating stuff, y'all. Fascinating. There we go. Hey, Barry. You froze for a second.
Can you still
hear me? You're good.
Okay, yeah, I figured they cut me off by now. Anyway, but that's another thing that shows this system going on, this thing going on. All right, these prion diseases and other things that have crept up. The red rain is another one. Okay, the red rain that was seen in China was seen a couple of times. Look at what that is actually. What is that red rain?
Ooh, the red rain. It looks like blood, huh?
It's very interesting what's actually consists of chemically.
Wow.
Anyway, so you're talking about that, but for me, that's what that rings in. And I would never think that something like that would connect to Chupacabra. When you're dealing with this dark crap that's going on and the repercussions of it.
Wow. Yeah, Donna Spencer, thank you so much for that super sticker. You were so sweet. We appreciate that. Yeah.
She's very nice. She's very well informed too. She's an experiencer.
Absolutely. Big time experiencer. Donna, I need to bring Donna. Donna, you got to come on my show sometime. You have such great stories and experiences, and pretty terrifying, actually. Pretty terrifying. But thank you so much. We love you over here. Yeah, Brown Dwarf's in the chat. Thank you, Brown. He's saying that he wonders if that lab is in or near El Yunque? I don't know how to pronounce that. National Park in Puerto Rico, where that world largest satellite is, and tons of UFO activities. Could be.
Good question. Good question. Puerto Rico is hot. It's hot. It's hot both in terms of UFOs, UAPs, as they call it these days, and also USOs. And will be bases there and around that area. Underwater bases.
USOs that go submerge under the water? Wow.
And, for those people that are contactees, let me say something about that, about USOs. That's another video I'm about to do this weekend. As a contactee, be aware when thinking in terms of USOs, your contact may not just be the ones that you see coming out of the ocean like Columbus did and stuff like that. Think about those that are mini craft, the ones that you almost appear like glitter when they come out of the water. A lot of contact happens like that.
Whoa, that's like tiny, microscopic UFOs.
We got those beings that have gone in inner space, and they communicate with us through inner space because they've condensed everything down to not just the micro, not just the nano, but to the pico. Civilizations.
Oh, that's right. Wow. Well, where does a chupacabra fit into all of that with all these with
Sorry.
them aliens? No, I'm
Sorry,
just
I don't know.
saying.
You got the data. I don't
Yeah,
have all the answers. I'm
I
not that good.
know. Well,
I'm
but
not that good.
it was part of my data though, looking into the chupacabra, and
Blows me
so
away.
it makes you wonder, right? There is a connection there because that was part of my data. So we have to wonder. Now, I was thinking maybe we could show a couple of these pictures of the different types of descriptions of how people describe the chupacabra. Now, this is the one, like we said earlier, this is the one that you had me remote view that was
Exactly.
seen and described out of Puerto Rico. Okay, and that was in 1995. Here's a close up of its face. It has a very alien like face. I did pick up this is a chimera. It's some sort of hybrid. Okay, it almost looks like a dinosaur alien with
Oh,
kangaroo
you know,
legs, right?
yeah. Here's what I want to throw out too. And this is something that may ring with you, really. That when what this thing is genetically, I find that the spines on it or the quills on it, it was described in the original reports of not just standing up, the quills, but that they were translucent and they changed colors. Many
Ooh,
people said that.
no way.
Okay. Now that to me implies radioactivity.
Oh my.
And when thinking about some of the stuff you've had in the portals and all that, and
Yeah.
your somehow a lot of the evidence that you've had around paranormal activity, your teams have various ones. There's always a radiation spike, right? This is
Yeah.
interesting.
There's
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
radiation.
Sorry, I cut you
Absolutely.
off when you were talking. I apologize for
Oh
that.
no, no, we're good. We're good. I was just talking about their kangaroo legs. It looks like dogman legs, actually.
You know,
Um,
they're supposed to be partially marsupial too. You know,
wow.
and when it's supposed to be marsupials, but when thinking about that hopping way, we think about kangaroo, but you know, also various types of birds they hop. Not all birds walk. Some
Oh,
birds
that's
hop.
right. Wow.
Just food for
Wow.
thought. I'm not saying that I'm right on that, but I think we just
That's
need to examine all different possibilities.
I
You
mean,
know what I mean?
speaking of birds, this looks very similar to it's got a little bird characteristic to it. And it even has those things underneath its arms, like wings, kind of.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, the little web stuff, the
yeah.
Spider-Man stuff under the arms. And you know, it wasn't until later I started hearing reports of them flying. That was after '95, but I did hear a few. But I mean, at first they were always reported as hopping, not really flying.
Wow.
So
Well, and they can look a little sinister, almost like the lizard man over here. This one right here. And this is one that I thought this was the most sinister of all. I kind of like this one. It looks like a dog man, chupacabra, something or other.
see,
So,
I kind of I think that's taken us more into the Tasmanian devil thing, and they're
me
really just
too.
twisted it up a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's not the one that you had me remote view though. So
No, that's why I had to do the original
that's a
sketch
good one.
because it's you know it has so many things that the media gets a hold of when concerning cryptids. They just take it and run it really really hardcore. You know.
Totally. And now this one right
Yeah,
here looks
yeah.
like a dinosaur of some sort. You know, there's dinosaurs that look similar to that one right
Well,
there.
you
So
know, I looked into that. What kind of dinosaurs had actually spines and had quills? There's a couple of different type, but I become exhausted trying to figure out. It might be this type of dinosaur, that type. You know, it's
wow.
but I think that, but we know that that's got something to do with the genetic splicing of this chimera. So again, that's what I'm saying. Again, well done. I mean, you knocked it out of the ballpark in terms of you pretty much nailed what this was without having any idea, and it correlated and plugged in some extra things with John Vivinko's information. So that's
Well,
really
thank
cool. Well
you.
done,
No,
and thank you for
I
doing that.
pat myself on the back for that one too. I mean, I love doing these blind targets. It's my jam. And Amy, thank you for that super sticker. I hope you feel better too. I've been sick as well, so I hope we both get well soon. So thank you for that super sticker. You're the sweetest, man. Yeah, this is yeah. There's it's wild, Barry. It's wild that I came up with the same data as Vivinko, basically, on a lot of this, not knowing what this target was whatsoever. Of course, that's what remote viewing is, though. We're not supposed to know what the target is.
You know, your emphasis on dinosaurs, I think, was really important, and you kept mocking it. when he first told me, well, it's dinosaurs,
It's
dinosaurs.
dinosaurs.
And he kept
Right,
laughing. But I was like, that's not, it's in reality, though, that there's a major part of the puzzle that is so simple that I would have missed it. So I went back even looking to see if there were any type of dinosaurs in history that looked quite like that. Not finding it, you know what I mean? Because it's some sort of, like you said, chimera.
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, I can't use the word abomination. It feels like an abomination to me.
Oh.
And, the fact the way it's using that proboscis to suck the life forces and blood and organs out of cattle or whatever. And, something else to throw in about this, the original reports of it, this thing was reported to have an extremely hypnotic trance ability over people.
Oh,
people
that
saw it was getting frozen. Yeah, looking at it. It was one of those deals. Yeah.
It reminds me of Organism 46B. Remember that one?
Yeah. There's been a lot of more reports of these type of Organism 46B creatures around deep sea rig building. Check into that. Anybody's listening, I challenge them to check into that. And some of the reports of divers around these deep sea rigs, they're reporting creatures that are quite similar to Organism 46B coming up on them. I've just stumbled across it more than once or twice now, and I find that fascinating. And they're modern reports,
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Well, I didn't pick up on exactly how big this thing was that I was looking at. I was picking up that it was. I picked up that it was tall, but these things weren't very tall, Barry, were they?
About 4 feet.
About
so
4
between
feet.
Three and 4 feet. Yeah.
Huh. Well, nonetheless, it's super interesting, and the fact that I was picking up on it being a mammal and a reptile was interesting, considering the description of them. Yeah. So I could appreciate that. And we've got Mike in the house from Abnormal Investigations. Hey, Mike, it's good to see you too. Thank you for being here tonight. But I was also picking up on a government cover-up or some kind of cover-up of all this as well. So as in all these targets, Barry, I think we have a lot of cover-ups, as you know. I think, yeah, there you are. I think I did pick up on a cover-up, Barry.
Oh yeah.
Just like on all of them.
Oh yeah.
On all the targets.
It's good enough between all this. Now that we know the hurricane thing is real, definitely, and the laboratory part is real. Right. I mean, people can almost research enough, even more than I have, and go deeper and see what actual laboratories were destroyed during this Hurricane Maryland, 1995. Yeah. You might be able to find out what this place is doing, these dark projects. Maybe. I mean, some things, it's often said that transparency or that the obvious is overlooked, and the best way to hide something is in plain view.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that could be how a lot of these cryptids come about, is escaping from facilities like that when there is a storm. Or an earthquake or something like that. I mean, I've picked up on that before, that especially with Dogman, they have escaped facilities.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but some of them.
Wow.
Yeah. The ones that I was asked to look into.
Yeah, and again, my question would be, who runs that laboratory? If it's even one that we have that has any transparency at all, you know what I mean? But it's still just food for thought. And I'm sorry, but it pretty much sucks.
It sucks.
It does.
It does.
It's dark stuff,
Right. But we're here to expose it, and we're having a good time doing it.
Yeah.
We're having a good time doing it. I mean, who would have ever thought that we'd be sitting here, Barry, on a live, internet show on my channel talking about exposing some of the biggest mysteries of the world here, and getting these blind targets and using such out of this world methods like remote viewing, and you having all these years of all your research, all this investigative research that you've done on all these cryptids and stuff, and I'm having a blast, Barry. I don't know about you.
Well, I
came out of my sick bed to do this today because it's so much fun.
I've had a lot of fun with this, and I'm honored. But it's really cool because I don't know how many of these we've done now, like 6 or 7, 8, but it's really good data has come out that can't be disputed to a degree. A lot of people talk and they don't have anything to support, but these are things here we're correlating that are having hard data backing it up. And the technique you're using is mathematical. It's a whole other thing. It's very interesting, as opposed to the way that I see in things. And you see also that puts something on it on top of the research, then on top of some things that can be actually, researched and reviewed by anybody listening here.
That's
So,
right.
that's important. So I'm honored to be a part of this. I think it's really fun too. That's why I keep doing it. You know what I mean? And it's better to be informed than to be blind. Even if we don't
Yeah,
get maybe we don't have the whole answers, but it's good parts of the puzzle.
that's
And it
right.
is important to know that these type of things that we read about things and like those of us that are religious, I am not sorry, but those of us that are religious, that we read things in like revelations of the Bible and things about these abominations that have walked the planet in past and present. We think that was just the past. It doesn't still go on. It does. We're just
Totally
calling them
does.
now secret laboratories and government laboratories. But it's the
Right.
same dark, negative abomination crap. And you've revealed that on so many of these targets we've done together, both blind and unblind. And
Yeah.
it's a sad that that's the planet we live on, but it is, and all we can do is reveal it and try to stay protected.
I know. I mean, it's all really weird, but the fact that when I'm tasked with the target of a cryptid, we don't even know if these things are for sure real or not, Barry. And I come up with this kind of data on it. It tells you something, And this is what I was trained for in remote viewing, was to look into the high strangeness that my team experiences out in the field when we're doing Bigfoot field research. Craig's in the chat. He's trained in it too. He knows what's up. We've had some very strange occurrences out in the field together. So I just saw a comment. I think it was from
Uh,
Mike. He was
Aussie
saying,
Sue, what's up, Aussie
yeah,
Sue?
oh yeah, Aussie's in here.
She's a big supporter. I want to say what's up to everybody, the entire audience. So I try to acknowledge everybody because it's really cool people that come up, and sometimes they'll say something on my channel that's enlightening. It helps me out stuff I don't know, so it's cool.
Yeah,
You know,
that's amazing. Thank you for being here, Aussie Sue. Okay, so Mike was saying that chupacabras allegedly have hollow canine teeth. Now, I think they do with some of them. I don't think that this one that I remote viewed, this is the one in Puerto Rico. It's a little different from some of the other ones. I didn't pick up on a whole bunch of like teeth, but I don't know. I just didn't look, and I didn't know
the,
to look for
the
its
the the
teeth.
one she's referring to is going to be the one that I think is actually a thylacine.
Okay, or that's a
Thylacine,
he.
actually
Yeah.
the actual Tasmanian tiger. But the one that
Yeah.
we're talking about, the picture you saw, it has what's called probaceous, which is
Okay.
the thing that comes out like
This one.
insects have that sticks, and that's what it stuck the goats
Oh,
with.
that's
And
right.
supposedly it was in like a triangle type of formation or something like that. These puncture marks that would leave, but it would suck the blood and life force and life juices out of the through that. The similar to a mosquito. That's what I was saying. I think that one of the parts of this chupacabra here we're looking at this picture at. So glad you pulled that up too. Thank you.
No
Is
problem.
that it seems to have an insectoid quality. The probaceous, very few animals or mammals actually have that outside the insectoids, except for that snail that I mentioned. And you have some things like technically, I guess the elephant you could say that's probaceous, and an anteater too. But I mean that's pretty rare as opposed to, and that's not the same as sucking the life forces the way an insect does, like a mosquito. That's what this thing was doing. So that just makes me think there's an insect factor there incorporated into the genetic code. Does that make
Wow.
sense? Of
Yeah,
course,
totally.
I could be totally wrong though. Wrong like a bug, but
No.
I don't never know. But it's a place to start anyway.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's almost like somebody took just the genes of all these different things and put them all together and was like, let's see what we can do here. Let's make some, sextuplets of these things and let them, let's see what happens. I mean, it's just so weird. It's
You,
so weird. So,
the hypnotic ability of this thing still puzzles me though. I mean, that
yeah.
was something. If you go back and listen to those early ones, especially like I said, '95 when this came up, '95, '96, the good years. But you hear so much of how it was hypnotic to the point
Wow.
that people just couldn't shoot it or attack it or even run from it. As terrified as they might be, something about it seemed to just stop them in their tracks.
Wonder if it was some kind of hip infrasound, like infrasound or
Good
something like
question.
that, mind speak kind of stuff. Because listen, I've been out in the field doing Bigfoot field research out in the woods, and I felt like I hit a barrier, like an invisible wall that I just couldn't go past. So I know that happens too. Could have been a Bigfoot, totally. I don't know, but I didn't. I didn't have the. I just didn't want to go past that line in the sand that I had mentally drawn. Like something told me not to keep going, and so I listened to my gut. I think that's what kept me alive. I mean, that's what keeps us alive is listening to our guts. So
Yeah. Spider sense.
my spidey sense.
Tingling. Tingling.
I get a lot of tinglings. When my head starts tingling and my hair stands up on my arms, I know it's time to go. Okay. Or it's time to sit there and have some fun. I don't know. It depends. You just got to go with your gut.
I keep thinking and going back to that dinosaur aspect. I think that's fascinating. And we have to face the fact that when dealing with this, Jurassic Park is not such a joke as we all probably thought it wasn't, but what they're actually doing with dinosaur type of genetics, those that are really extinct anyway. I'm not so sure all dinosaurs are extinct. Yeah. That's a whole nother tripped out thing. We'll talk about the Congo.
All right.
I think there's something in Congo going on portal wise to where there's a large dinosauroid population in the Congo, more than just Matimbe.
Well, and they also have pterosaurs down there too. Okay, Zach, you took some good notes tonight. Let's see. Zach says, "I'm not sure if we explicitly said this, but what the data seems to tell me is that a meteorite, possibly from Mars, brought DNA with it. Genetic lab starts playing with it and gets out, and then there's a cover up." I mean, could be. I mean, that's kind of what my data said in a nutshell. Yeah. So, for this particular one, this Chupacabra out of Puerto Rico, yes. I think so. I think you could be right. So thank you for taking notes. You can hand those notes out to the class after we're done. I love that. Oh my gosh, this is a lot of fun. Oh my goodness, Overbuilt. Thank you so much for that super sticker. Creepy guy. I know Hey, it's better you guys can see the skeleton than my face right now. Okay, that's why I got the lights off. I'd creep y'all out worse than that skeleton tonight. I promise. Yes, Donna, there were a lot of scientists, especially after World War II, that came to the United States. I think they started NASA, right, Barry, from Germany, that started doing really weird experiments and working for NASA. So
I just got zapped over here again, zapped off the internet again. So anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're here though. You're here. It's usually me that's getting zapped off for whatever reason.
Good. I'm really glad that all that information got out.
Okay.
That's the information needed to get out, and I think put it to you like this: it sorts out some of the crap that people would have heard in the last Monster Quest episode.
What was the last Monster Quest?
That was years ago. That's the last time they did one over the Chupacabra, but like I said, they were showing something that looked like a thylacine to me. If you look at the last,
would be that would be like a
that's a Tasmanian
hyena, like a Tasmanian tiger. Okay.
Yeah, it was a little different than a hyena, and then it could elongate its jaw and also its hind legs. It was a little bit different. There's a picture on YouTube about the last thylacine actually, and I think it may be on a video on my YouTube channel I did about Chupacabras 7 years ago. But I'm gonna do a newer one here in a few days. And I think it's just it's important, and I think it's good. Again, it really shows something,
It does, yeah. Is it a thylacine? Is that what you call it? Could have been what I remote viewed the Beast of Javaudan out in France. Okay, that could have been a thylacine or whatever. I mean, a lot of what I picked up was like a hyena type creature, but it sounds similar to what you're talking about. Some people thought it was a werewolf or a dog man, but I picked up it was more like a hyena.
I'd heard things when I was in Australia about, and even prior to that, it was something called, they were seeing not just black panthers there, but black panther marsupials, and they were saying it was connected to something that was a marsupial lion. That it exists in the fossil record in Australia. Look that up. Anybody look that up? The marsupial lion in Australia, and they're saying now that their black panthers are being seen there that are marsupial as well. That's very interesting to me. I mean, who's to say?
We have a very interesting question in the chat, Barry. So, are their numbers being controlled? Why haven't we been bombarded with these creatures? Well, first of all, when they're born, apparently the mother chases the baby and eats it. So, I would assume that the populations would not be very high of these things, just for that fact alone. If most of them are being eaten straight out of the womb.
You made that sound funny, but that's legitimate what you said, though. That's legitimate. But yeah, if they're predatory in that way, I would imagine too, once they escaped, that there was something to try to gather them, some process to collect them. And also, I would question how long such an abomination's natural lifespan would be.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Who knows? Good question, though. Great question.
Yeah, there are all sorts of blood and energy suckers out there, Crystal. Thank you for that comment. That's funny. Oh man, we've all dated one of those. I know, or married one.
That's some succubus and incubus too. They come help us out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you got everything else out there.
That's right. Yeah. So Zach said, "What better way to learn about alien DNA than to grow it in a lab, just like Jurassic Park?" Now there are reports of modern day dinosaurs all over the world. Okay, and I know we see videos online on TikTok and wherever. Now, CGI is a very serious threat. So, I don't know if it's real, but
tapping in on that, people like Linda Moulton Howe and a lot of other people I've talked about that are, talked about how certain extraterrestrial groups claim to have made the dinosaurs. So what we're talking about here, whether these be reptilian, ET factions, or whoever, but they claim to have made the dinosaurs. And when you start examining things like the Hadrosaurus and those that would have been probably the dominant life form here if it wasn't for whatever the extinction that almost wiped them out. It's very fascinating. But when you think about that and dinosaur genetics being messed with, and if they were created, now look at this Chupacabra and what she said and how quickly the first thing you picked up was dinosaur. Food for thought.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. Project Paperclip scientists did come from Germany. Absolutely. Barry, this is funny. The Radio Vault said, Barry, there's a black and white van parked outside your house. It says not the government. That's their Wi-Fi.
Not yet, right? Thank goodness. It might be some little gremlin running around somewhere.
I know.
Out there,
Listen, I've only gotten one proverbial knock at my door, and that was with the I think it was the Apollo 11 moon landing. That's the only thing that I've actually been kind of not questioned on, but warned on. So yeah, with the rest of all these cryptids and stuff, I don't think, for whatever reason, we're able to talk about it. So, matter of fact, I get information sometimes from people that back up my data. So, after I do these shows, I do have people that contact me to say that I am on the right track with my data. So, I'm digging it, y'all. I'm digging it. I hope that you guys are having a good time with us, with Barry and I.
This is a good one. I'm really glad we did this one. And it's been one that I wanted to have you do for a while, just so when the time was right, whatever, and spirit determines that. So.
Absolutely. Yes. Man, we have so many great comments tonight. Thank y'all so much. I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank all my moderators tonight. So I'm not the only person that has hit a wall. Caster Polax 15, I can't see tonight, I'm sorry, says that their late brother-in-law was running in the woods as a teenager and hit an invisible wall and fell down. Wow. That's interesting. That sounds very similar to me not wanting to go past my invisible wall that I encountered. So it's a thing. It could just be energy, frequency, vibration. Who knows? Or it could be a Bigfoot. Maybe we ran into a cloaked Bigfoot. I don't know. You never know. I know we talk about some weird stuff, but that's what we're here for. Right, Barry?
Well, honestly, when you all described that, I think, honestly, you ran into a cloaked ship.
Oh, a cloaked ship. Or a cloaked Bigfoot.
Yeah, I mean, well, just because, it may have been, larger than it appears, but that was the boundary that you hit. An invisible force.
It was a boundary. That's right.
Something that's cloaked with metamaterial. Even the military can do that now, let alone extraterrestrials. So,
wow.
that makes us any more comfortable.
I know.
Hey, humans can do it to us now.
Oh, wow. Yay. They're more sinister than any animal on the planet. Okay. So, yeah, it's really
nice
wild.
comments. I appreciate everybody.
Yes.
Thank you for the nice comments.
Yeah. Thank y'all so much. Yes, I am. I need to go get some beauty rest tonight. I'm a little sniffly and not feeling so great tonight. So thank y'all for sticking around. I was actually going to not show my face tonight. The last minute, I threw on some lipstick and my glasses, and I said, screw it. I'm going to come see everybody. Y'all get to see my bubbly face. So I'm glad I did. This has been really awesome. And so you guys, please join me this weekend. I'm going to be on Spaced Out Radio. I have Mike. Long Island Bigfoot is coming on my show. We've got some amazing evidence out of New York. He's going to be showing, and it's going to be a really good discussion. And it'll be my first time hanging out with Mike, and so we're going to do that. And then Sunday night, I actually have Travis Willier Moose who's coming on Space Out Radio. Barry, that's our buddy that just did a show with us last week. So it's going to be a fun weekend. I have a busy weekend. I have a lot of major life changes happening right now. That's why I'm sick. I'm sure that's why I'm sick. Because I just have so much going on. And in the meanwhile, I'm doing all this remote viewing and, just having a blast, just having a really big blast. So, Barry, where can people find you and all your amazing videos?
YouTube is a good one, just under Barry Littleton. I do a lot of stuff there. Been trying to even do a Sasquatch video every weekend.
Okay.
Also, I'm on Patreon as well under Barry Littleton. And those are probably the best places. Facebook also. Okay.
Well, let's see. I think actually I have your. It's just Barry Littleton on. You got to go to his Patreon, y'all. Please subscribe to his Patreon. It is so worth it. He's got so many videos that have not been released to the public, and I like to say mind blowing. It's mind blowing.
Oh, thank you.
And Barry, after he gives me these targets, Barry, you usually you send me one of your Patreon videos of what my target is. So
yeah.
I can appreciate
that was actually a YouTube one, but I'm gonna do a new one, and it'll mirror this episode. So thank you for that.
Absolutely, Barry. Barry's frozen up again. But hey, we're gonna pin Barry's videos to the comments tonight. So, and if they don't make the comments, they're gonna be down, or the live chat, they'll be down in the comments tonight. Okay, so there you are. Wait, you froze up a little bit, Barry. What's up?
Oh, sorry. It's the black van out there telling me to shut my mouth.
Not the government. You're not the government.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I pulled these comments up or not. I try to pull everybody's comments up. I know I get behind, y'all. Thank you, really Harold.
Nice. You're really hilarious. Nice people saying a lot of nice
lipstick
stuff.
On a pig. Actually, you know what, Harold, that's funny because when I was putting on my lipstick tonight, I was like, man, this is like putting lipstick on a pig. So I actually said that to myself out loud today.
Is that a Southern saying? Or?
It's a Southern saying. Harold's from the South too. I think he lives in Virginia. I'm not sure. Or Tennessee. I can't remember Harold. I'm sorry. I think Harold's a Jones as well. I don't know. He says we're cousins, I believe. So we probably are. Everybody's my cousin, especially when you live in the South. That sounds weird. But anyways, yeah, we're gonna put those links either in the live chat tonight before I log off here, or I'm gonna put them down in the description box. So yeah. All right, Barry. Well, I hope you feel better too. And let's go get us some rest. And I'm going to be back this weekend on Space Out Radio. Y'all come see me. And then I will be back next week as well with some more great shows for y'all. So I love everybody. Y'all have a great night. Barry, thank you for being my guest.
Hey, thank you for having me. Appreciate you for doing the target.
Yes, and like my friend Mike, who's here, always says, don't be something's dinner tonight. Y'all lock your doors, okay? And just be aware of your surroundings, and just know what's out there, okay? We will see y'all next time. Y'all have a great weekend. Bye.